Welcome back. We want to be able to execute this query using Spring JDBC. How can we do that? To get started, what I would do is to say a control N in here, new class, and I would put it in the package .course.jdbc. So .course.jdbc, and the name I would give to this is course JDBC repository. We want to create a repository which would talk to the course table. So let's say finish. What we want to do is to fire queries to the database using Spring JDBC. And the thing which enables you to fire queries using Spring JDBC is JDBC template. You can do a control space or command space, and you should see a class being imported in org Spring Framework JDBC core JDBC template. And let's give it a name, Spring JDBC template. I'll make this private. I'll say this is a @repository. This is something which would talk to a database. And typically the annotation in Spring when a class talks to a database is @repository. Let's do an organize imports. You would see org Spring Framework stereotype repository added in here. So now we have @repository. We have the JDBC template class present in here. And we would want to execute a query in here. I would want to call this public void insert. And for now, let's not accept any details. Let's hard code a query in. A little later, we'll see how to pass the course object in here. For now, we want to execute it in a simple way. So Spring JDBC template dot. You'd see that there are a lot of methods that will allow you to execute SQL queries in Spring JDBC template. What we'll do is we'll use a query called update. So we want to execute a query. That's what the update allows you to do. As you can see in here, issue a single SQL update operation. For example, insert, update, or delete statement. So let's go ahead and say update and give the SQL statement to execute. So the SQL statement to execute we already have, right? So let's create a private static string in here. Private static string insert query is equal to, I'll put 3 double quotes in here, 3 double quotes, and again 3 double quotes. So 3 double quotes, 3 double quotes. This is called a text block. And in here you can type whatever you would want. So I'll paste the query that we would want to execute. Insert into quotes, ID, name, author, values 1, learn AWS in 28 minutes. So I would want to execute it in here. The great thing about the text blocks is you can retain the formatting for your queries. When you look at this query, it's very, very easy to understand. So what I would do now is to fire in this query. So you want to update and execute this insert query. This is a little funny because update method can be used to execute insert queries, update queries, and delete queries as well. Okay, now the fun aside, let's get back to getting this query running. So now we want to execute this query at the startup of the application. When the application starts up, we would want to fire this insert query in. How can we do that? That's where Spring Boot provides you with a concept called command line runner. So what I'll do is I'll go to the course JDBC package, and in the course JDBC package, I'll create a new class. I'll call this course JDBC command line runner. And to make it run at startup, what we would need to do is to say implements command line runner and press Ctrl 1 or Command 1. This would import the command line runner in. So org Spring Framework boot command line runner is inserted in. However, there is a method defined in here which we would need to implement. I'll do a Ctrl 1 or Command 1 and add unimplemented methods. If you look at command line runner, it says interface used to indicate that a bean should run when it is contained within a Spring application. When you have some logic to run at the start of a Spring application, you can make use of the command line runner. You can see that there is a run method which is present in here, which is executed at the startup. And what do we want to do in here? We would want to fire up the query, the insert query. And to be able to do that, what we would need to do is to auto wire a few things in. First, let's make this a at component. So let's mark the command line runner as a component so that Spring Framework can find it in component scan. The next thing I would do is to go ahead and use the course JDBC repository. This is the course JDBC repository that we have created earlier. So let's copy this and let's use this in here. So course JDBC repository, private, and I'll call this repository. Let's maximize the screen. We would want to auto wire this in, auto wired. Let's organize imports. Org Spring Framework beans factory annotation auto wired comes in. And now I can execute the query in here. Repository dot insert. So in the course JDBC repository, we have created an insert method which is calling this query. And now I can go in, stop the application, and start it again. Learn JPA and Hibernate application. Oops, failure. It says null pointer exception. Cannot invoke JDBC.update string because this dot Spring JDBC template is null. Why is it null? Let's quickly check that out. Oops, we do not have auto wired in here. So let's add in auto wired on the JDBC template as well. And let's launch the application again. Learn JPA and Hibernate application. This time it launches up fine. That's good. So that's good. Let's now connect to the H2 console and see if our data is present. Let's refresh. It's zoomed in a lot. Don't worry about it. JDBC URL is this. I'll say connect. Oops, this does not look good. So let's expand this a little bit. I would want to look at the course and do a run of select star from course. And you can see one learn AWS in 28 minutes is now inserted into the course. In this step, we learned how you can make use of Spring JDBC to execute a simple query. Let's do a few more complex things with it in the next step.